Welcome back, everyone. Today we're just doing kind of like a general video. I wanted to go over flip tricks in general, specifically 5 tips that you can use when learning flip tricks. And some of these tips are more universal than others. Some of these can be applied through many other different types of tricks in skateboarding, not just flip tricks. Some of them are kind of specific to flip tricks, but I figure overall, just kind of when reflecting on the amount of time I've been skating and the most valuable lessons that I've taken from learning flip tricks, these are what comes to mind to me. So without further ado, number one here, don't anticipate jumping in a certain direction. In other words, don't anticipate, when you're doing a tray flip that you're going to have to jump 3 feet ahead of you, or that if you're doing a front shove, you're going to jump behind you. A lot of people teach this, or a lot of people tell you that this is what you should do in their flip tricks. I personally don't think so, because I'm not saying that, your board's not going to end up a little behind you or a little ahead of you. The board is not going to usually land in the same exact place or position that it started off in. That's not what I'm suggesting here when I say that. What I am saying is that it shouldn't be the focal point of you learning a trick, right? You're supposed to control your skateboard. Your skateboard's not going to control you. So when you say that you should jump forward or jump back or jump in a certain direction, you're kind of, I guess, insinuating that the board is going to do something and that you have to follow the board, where it should be the opposite, right? You should kind of aim to develop your flip tricks to the point where you kind of control the board as opposed to the board controlling you. So if you develop this habit of jumping forward or jumping back or jumping in any which direction, you're kind of already assuming something, that the board's going to go, way ahead of you, way behind you. And that's not something that you should assume when you're doing flip tricks. So I guess it helps some people, but I think in the long run, it's not something that you should do if you aim to really develop your flip tricks. So focus more on getting a better scoop if that's the case, right? If you're worried about the board going in a certain direction too far, just worry about getting a good scoop, especially on those rotation tricks, anything involving, a pop shove, a 3 shove, a tray flip. It helps to have a proper scoop as opposed to anticipating jumping in any direction. Next up, be aware of your gear, your equipment. I don't go over this too much because I don't want people to stress about it, but the truth of the matter is that your board and your shoes do matter, right? I personally believe that if you have a board with more concave, it's going to give you a more solid pop. It's going to feel better to do flip tricks on it than something that's more flat. And what I mean by the flatness or the concave of a board, you can feel it when you go to any skate shop. Just if you're able to ask for a board off of the wall and to stand on it, you'll feel differences in concave. You'll feel that some boards are a lot more flat. They feel more similar to a plank of wood than other boards, which are have a lot of curves to them. And also not just the shape of the board, but your grip tape, right? If you have a brand new board with brand new grip tape, that's going to feel a lot different than a board that you've been skating for 2-3 months. It's going to feel a lot different also if you have brand new shoes compared to shoes you've been skating for several months on end, right? That's going to change the amount of friction you get when you slide your foot across a board. So these things make a big difference. And for those of you who follow me on Patreon, I made a video about that, right? I showed you how different my kickflips look in 2 completely different shoes. Shoes that were even, the same age and how long I've been skating them, right? So these can give you different results, and it's okay to recognize that, right? It's okay to know that you may have gotten a pair of shoes that doesn't feel as good to you, or you may have to adjust your kickflip or your tray flip or whatever to kind of meet how the shoes and the board combination feels to you, right? So just be aware of that and know that it's okay to adapt what you're doing based on your equipment, right? It just makes sense. Tip number 3, play skate. Play skate with anyone and everyone who wants to play skate, right? Playing skate, if you don't know what it is, which you should, but if you don't know what skate is, it's similar to playing basketball, playing playing horse in basketball, right? Someone takes a shot from a certain area on the court, and if they make it, then you have to take the shot from the same area. And if you don't make it, then you get a letter, and so on and so forth. Skate is just the skateboarding version of that, right? Someone does a kickflip, you have to do it, and if you don't do it, then you get a letter. Playing skate, I think, is a brilliant way to learn tricks because it exposes you to things that you may not have tried before. You know, maybe if your friend does an inward heel flip and you've never tried one or you're not a fan of it, not only are you to attempt the trick, but if you want to win the game, which, you know, includes this little incentive for you to actually try, right? So don't be the person that plays a game of skate and then, you know, someone does a trick you don't like and you're like, oh, I'll just take a letter. Don't be that person, right? Actively engage and learn how to play skate and have fun with it, and just really engage in the fun and the friendly competition, because that really helps the learning process. And that's not just for you know, playing flat ground games of skate. You can play games of skate on anything, right? Quarter pipes, flat bars, stairs, all across the skate park or the streets, you can play a game of skate. And that's what really kind of makes it fun and adds that little competitive edge to it. I feel like over the years, that's what kind of encouraged me to get better at flip tricks when I was playing skate with friends of mine that were at all different skill levels, right? Whether they're just starting out or they're way better than you. So for the next tip, practice polishes everything. Just realize that the first time you do a kickflip is not going to look like a kickflip that you do, you know, 5-10 years from now, right? If you love skateboarding that much, if you keep up with it and you keep doing it after all these years, practice really kind of polishes up what you do and it makes you better at what you do, right? If you know what it's like to drive a car, if you're at that age or if you're beyond that, think back to the first time you got on a public road. Think back to the first time that you got on a highway. And imagine how terrifying that was, because that was a redefining moment of my life, because I was absolutely terrified, you know, just clutching the wheel. And it may not be that every trick in skateboarding feels that way, but you might feel kind of alien to the whole process, and it may feel kind of strange for you at the beginning. It might feel a little uncomfortable, you might feel a little rigid, but as time goes by, it becomes second nature. And that's the same thing that happens when you continually practice in skateboarding. A kickflip kind of becomes second nature. Just like people can drive home without thinking, you know, even if you have a lot on your mind, you know where home is and you know exactly how to get there. And so even if there's a lot of distractions or people are texting or talking and driving, having an emotional day or whatever, they still get home because they have that, they kind of almost have it in their subconscious at that point. And I'm not saying to do that on the road. I'm not saying to, you know, skateboard when you're bothered or whatever, but it really does become kind of second nature the more and more you do it. So don't get discouraged if you feel like you're rigid or stiff or it takes you a while to do something, because the more you practice, the better you will be at that. And my last tip here, sometimes rest is the true answer, the answer to your problem. It's really easy to get caught up in trying a trick for hours on end, you know, getting frustrated, kind of losing your breath, where you have to really sit down and try to catch up and just really breathe and relax for a few minutes. That can help too, but sometimes it's better to just give it up for the day, or maybe just, you know, take a break, go eat something, just relax, drink some water. Really just take more of a break and just have a moment to reflect and just separate yourself from the situation. That even happens with me nowadays in other aspects of my life. I've been trying to learn how to play the keyboard recently. And sometimes if I'm trying to learn a tune or something, my hands are really stiff and it feels hard for me to just really stretch them across the keyboard and play these different chords and everything, and just feel like a total beginner. But if I can do that for a little bit and then I come back the next day, I feel refreshed and I just feel like it comes together a lot smoother, like I can do it better. And for some reason, that time between really helped. So sometimes that time is all you really need in order to really have that epiphany, right? It's not like you have that moment where something hits you while you're doing it, right? It's like as if the epiphany came because you took a break. So that's sometimes the most valuable lesson that you can learn in skateboarding is not necessarily that aha moment of what you need to do, but simply walking away and realizing that it's not the right time to do something right. There's a time for everything. So when we have the self-discipline to walk away from something, we're saving ourselves time and energy. And it's not to say that we're being cowardly or that we're quitting, right? We're just realizing that it's not the right time for us. So sometimes that can be a valuable lesson to us in skateboarding, specifically with flip tricks, something very technical and that requires a lot of dexterity and endurance from us. So those are my tips on flip tricks, my top 5 tips when learning flip tricks. Hopefully that was something valuable to you guys. I just wanted to share that with you. Quick update on my condition. I've been skating a little bit, but I don't want to push it too hard and end up back at square one, as I have like at least once or twice in this past year. For those of you who don't know, I'm just dealing with a disc issue in my lower back, and I don't want to irritate that. So I'm just taking it nice and easy, and I plan to continue doing so for a little while. But the good thing is that I can still skate and do some basic stuff and make videos. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, leave your comments down below on what you think I should do a video on next, and I will see you soon.